Hi everyone, let's start today's call. The first agenda item is to look at the current sprains and then to see if there's any blockers or any questions that we need to discuss further. And I just want to point out we did quite a bit of funnel testing from last spring, and then also this spring a couple of tickets got wrapped up. And there are still 3 tickets on the funnel testing column. The first one is the histopathology form, and everything looks fine. So Simon, there's one issue that I found. I know that you were not the one who worked on this ticket because it was done by Twitter, but I think we need you to help to pick this up for this bug. So one of the answers got picked up by the questions pathological diagnosis added. It grabbed the ... answer before and after the concept, the value coded answers. So it looks like something like that in here. Do you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah. So that is the so somehow that it grabs 3, an extra value before and then an extra value after.
Okay.
So that's why it go to the error queue. I think it's good that we catch this one, so that it would reduce the payload to go to the error queue. So if you can help us to take a look on this one, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Except this one, all the changes looks fine. Based on the specifications.
Okay.
And then the other 2 tickets got like a Huawei device APK testing thing. The reason that it got hold up because as we discussed last time on the chat, because there was like as Simon that you point out through the email saying that somehow the defaulted Android version they picked the latest even though you picked the older version, and we haven't got a chance to clean it up and regenerate. So Simon, if you can help us to regenerate the APK on a fresh Android 21 so that we can move forward with these 2 tickets testing.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, and then that is it. That's pretty much the blocker for the 2 Huawei tickets. And for the teleconsultation ticket, let me see which one. I think it's 360, I think. So everything looks fine, except that after the reply, and then I go back to the mobile device on the Android side and try to do synchronization of the notifications, and it did not get the additional notifications. So I pinged Sam yesterday, and he said he's going to look at that issue today. So that is the blocker for those 3 teleconsultation tickets. And then for the Canon EMR mUzima integration, all the forms looks fine. That's just very, very minor minor suggestions that it could help with improving the data quality, but for this proof of concept purpose, there's no need to make those changes, just like for future reference. But there was like one small bug on the HIV enrollment form. When pick we're not supposed to pick. I think like the validation is like not to pick like a future date for the confirmed HIV positive date. But when the user pick a future date, the focus of the cursor would jump to the top of the page. So Simon, you probably want to double check on this one.
Yeah.
Instead of prompting a warning or something like that.
Okay.
And then so all the forms looks fine, and I was able to save them as complete form data. However, it threw an exception when trying to upload the data. Try to sync the complete form data to the server. So you might want to try that and then catch the log.
Yeah, that one I think it's a matter of updating the modules, because I believe you are using the latest APK. Yeah, which
Also, we
has,
need to install the latest modules on the Candy EMR instance.
yes.
Okay, so let me try to do it after the call and then try to see if that works.
Yeah. So the latest module you install will be the mUzima core module. And for the registration, I think I will need to generate from the latest code repository, because remember, for the Kenya EMR we have a few
Different one.
changes not within the our mUzima modules.
Okay, so how about if that's the case, I will let you to update the modules then.
Yes, I think I can update after the call, and then I will.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
So that is the issues that's why we could not wrap those up. So there's only two minor issues. One is that future day got focus change in started palming, and then the throwing exception, just like what you mentioned, is the module version capability with the APK. And then for the CDM forms, there are some email exchanges yesterday. The COP has signed off and approved the changes for both the dispensary and also the health center form. Now they are on the form team court to do the concept creation, also mapping for the changes. So we will continue to wait for that update whenever it's ready, and then Simon can help us to pick those up. That's pretty much what I have in terms of the tickets for current spring. I know that we're going to talk about the demographic update form later, so that's why I don't want to talk about it right now. Anyone have any questions or comments on those? Hi, Nicholas.
So we'll follow up on the forms and update you as soon as possible. And so just follow up and see whether they can be handed over to your team by Monday.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, we would like to wrap up the CDM forms before end of the year so that everyone can go for holiday happily. Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you. In addition, we've gone through the food care forms for testing, and whatever additions we had, they're with Petronila right now, and we hope that once she's done, we'll continue with the testing and update you accordingly.
Awesome, thanks, Nicholas. So those are what I have for the current sprints. Anyone comments or questions? If not, let's move to the next agenda item. Is about the demographic updates from design discussions. So I think we talked about it very briefly before. So basically, the needs for these three tickets is that if it's like a new patient, it's easy for us to fill out a new patient, new registration form for the patient, for the new client. However, for existing clients, maybe there might be some demographic information changes. Let's say that it moved from one sublocation to another sublocation, or the phone number got changed, or things like that. And what is the workaround and how we should get it done? So what we reference back is to call is like we want to get the data updated for this. So basically, the demographic update form looked very similar to the registration form, because basically we allow users to make changes on those information. However, the mechanism of how all this information get updated and replaced might be a little bit tricky, because it's always a discussion that how much we trust, and which information we trust most. Let's say that, for example, for data collecting through the mobile device, because the mobile device is a bit much smaller, and because it's touch screen, the keyboard is much smaller. Sometimes when the user type even updated information, do we need to go through a manual validation process when it's got submitted to the server, so that at least we have someone to verify this information, whether which information we should trust more. Um, um, because like, let's say that, oh, maybe they said, oh, the gender is supposed to be female instead of like male, let's say that, because that's like a dramatic change. So should we even like to accept, all this information submitted through the mobile device with the verification and then automatically replace on the server side? So I would like to hear what you guys think, like any other like suggestion and concern, things like that. Hi, Win. So can you guys, like, when you guys think about it, when you're on the field, most of our users, they are not that familiar with using the devices, or relatively new to them. So sometimes maybe there's a typo or things like that. Do you guys think that it's still, when a demographic update form gets submitted, it should automatically go to the error queue, or go to like a special queue that need to have like a manual review process on the server side? Or do you think that that's not required?
Ada,
Go ahead.
that's a good suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
But I was imagining that can be practical during the testing period. But I think going forward, when it's going to be a full implementation,
Mm-hmm.
that might create a lot of work,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the number of records coming from mUzima, getting into the main system.
Mm-hmm.
So for testing, I think that's appropriate. But maybe going forward, is the testing stage should identify most of those errors,
Mm-hmm.
and possibly correct them before doing the full implementation. Now, during the full implementation, the system can only have a mechanism of checking what is coming in relation what the system. If there is a mismatch or a little bit of mismatch, it puts it in the error queue.
Yeah, so I think that would it would require a lot of algorithm processing on the server side. That is that's what we were struggling in the past, that as well, like accuracies versus like performance issues. So we have to find like kind of like middle of the ground, so that the accuracy is acceptable, but then it will not drag down the performance. In terms of like how sophisticated the algorithm we should use when we try to identify, oh, this is really like a far off mismatch, or it's likely to be the same.
Wow, yeah, I know the tricky bit is
yeah, that's why it's always challenging. Yeah. So go ahead.
Are you suggesting that every time we get data from the mobile system before it gets into the main production system?
So my sense is that we can do it both way. So my sense is that maybe on the module side, on the server side, we can have like an optional settings to say that when the demographic update form payload got sent to the server, depends on the implementation. The implementation can say, I trust our users. We're quite confident with our users, and then the information they send back through the demographic update form, they can override the existing demographic data for the same client. If the implementation thing, because it's very new for the users to use the mobile stuff, and also EMR is very new to them because of all those like new, it's new for, everything is new for them. And then they wasn't really sure in terms of the confidence level. They can switch that, to put in the special queue that it need to go through like manual review. Would that be something that you think would work better that way?
Yeah, maybe that will work, especially for new people using the system.
Yeah,
maybe
because
just one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe I don't understand it, but will this apply to new clients getting into the system, or also
No,
existing clients
this is existing
sitting there?
clients because this is the update form.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
like it is the reason I make it a little bit concerned is that, even with our past implementation experience, the information we collected the first time, most people think is most accurate. However, it might not be the case. Let's say that the patient come to the clinic to register without the the official ID, and then they just give you estimated date of birth. They say, oh, I am 35 years old. And then because it's the 35 years old, it could be plus or minus, depends the cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the our CHW go to the household, maybe the household, they have the official ID. When they look at, oh, actually your birthday, you have the exact date of birth here. So it would be more accurate when they update the demographic update form and sync back to the server, and then the information actually is more accurate than the estimated 35 years old.
Agreed.
Yeah,
that's in order.
Yeah, so that's why I was trying to figure out like a more like a flexible way that for different scenario, it's not always. I'm not trying to say that information collected through the mobile is not accurate. Sometimes it could be more accurate because of the physical advantage, from the household that you have access to certain information. But on the other hand, maybe for new implementation, especially new users, using a handheld device and also filling, all those information on the electronic form on the mobile device might be quite challenging at the beginning. So what I'm thinking is we have this option setting so that for implementation, they have high confidence in the users or information they trust more. They can say, oh, we don't want to go through the manual process of reviewing. And for more like newer users, group, and they prefer to go through more like careful review process before they build up the confidence level.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah, I'm trying to throw different ideas here so that we can stimulate like a discussions so that because all of you guys have so much experience in implementations and also EMR and things like that. So I just want to throw in different options, and then we try to find the what we think best for our design.
Yeah, Ed, I think I'm in agreement with the suggestion to allow optional automatic processing at the server side, where the users can decide whether they want to check demographics update or they want it to be processed automatically by the system, depending on how they trust the providers who fill in the data. Then coming to the mobile side, I think you mentioned that the demographics update form would be used for existing patients.
Correct.
I just wanted to ask because I think there could be scenarios where, for instance, on the mobile device, you've just registered a patient, then you noticed there's some things you filled incorrectly or there are some changes that you'd like to make. So how about such a patient who has been registered newly on the device and the provider would like now to make changes because they will no longer be able to make changes using the registration form once it was initially saved? So if they have to use the demographic update form, it means, I mean, if they have to make the changes, it means they use demographics update. And therefore, there would be 2 forms filled for that patient, which are yet to be processed at the server side. And following on that, I think when you make the updates, I would like to know whether we would effect the changes locally on the device so that the provider would see if they had changed the date of birth, then they would see it on the device itself, which I think is the proper way to go, or whether we submit it to server-side processing and download it again when you sync the cohort. Yeah. And then in addition to that, again, I think such a scenario where you register a patient, submit to the server side, and then download the record back to the device has a challenge because I just tried it before the call. Somehow it downloads and has it makes a new record for that patient.
Oh.
The new record you download from the server side does not get merged. I think for the reason.
I think it should assign like a temporary patient UID.
Yes. Normally when we we register a patient on the device side and submit it to the server. At the server side, we may assign a new UID. The server side would assign a new UID, and that record, the temporal UID and the new UID is kept. We keep it in a lookup table, and it is used to resolve those records whenever you submit any new encounter forms. So when you, for example, when a new UID was assigned at the server side and you download the patient back to the device, somehow we'll end up with 2 records. So in that case, I think there's some work to be done to make sure that when it's downloaded, it's merged. But I think my questions were, just to summarize, whether we want to use the demographics update for the newly registered patients as well, and also whether we want to update the patient records on the local device so that the provider can see it before even processing at the server side.
For the first pass, I think it would be very complicated if we allowed to use the update form for the newly registered client on the device, unless you guys think the otherwise. For the first pass, because what I have in mind is that the first pass for the demographic update form is for existing client that we downloaded from the server, just to make things easier. Because once you allow one demographic form, and then are we going to freeze that information, or if it's not freezing, they can continue to modify for the same one. I think that's fine, but if we decide to freeze it, and how many updated form we allowed to use for the same new client, things like that. I think like it will go down the line. What was your second question, Simon? I forgot. That was the first one. What's the second one?
I don't know. I'm forgetting also.
So it's not just me. Let me think. What you said.
Yeah. Whether we want to update the local the records of the device, or whether we want to submit it to server side for processing, and then we sync back. So for example, if I change date of,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
For this one, I really don't know on this one actually.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how it would affect the implementation, because I'm looking at a scenario where, for example, I registered a new patient, assigned the wrong date of birth, and then I would like to put the correct date of birth so that assuming there is a form which can only be filled for patients of a particular age.
Yeah, for the validation, right?
Yeah, so that validation, for me to fill this form, it means I have to update that date of birth.
Mm-hmm.
So if we say that you have to submit to server side, and then we make it be processed at the server side before we download it again to continue doing whatever you wanted to do, then it also may make the workflow a bit longer.
You know, that's a very good point. So actually now I can think of even more challenges. Let's say that I'm just making it up. So let's say that we have this days validation, the age validation that this form can be filled by certain age group, whatever. And let's say that the age was supposed to be between 20 and 30. And then you fill out this form for this client, and then after that, it's you still staying in the on the device, and then later you go back and make the demographic update form, and then change the age. Actually, is like 18 years old, so it's not supposed to be eligible, but then it got processed and sent to the server. And what to do, after that? Like, and then when you try to look at the data, it's like, oh, how is possible that 18 years old actually fill this form, because there's no timestamp that we can track that, because the form, the payload was actually created before the encounter, before the changes for the demographic update form.
Mm-hmm.
You see what, like, there's a lot. That's why I think this is very complicated. It's not like that straightforward like other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why I want to have a discussions. Yeah, that's why this one is we would love to have this sooner, but this is not as straightforward. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So my other input is maybe we may need to see what demographics details are being updated, the ones that should be updated, and what should remain as it is. Of course, like unique numbers have to remain the same. Patient name, okay, I know it might change for the patients, like getting a third name. Mobile phone location, as in most of what cannot change, we may want them to remain unchanged. Unless we feel that what we have collected right now, what is in the system is wrong, that we want now the demographic update system to update, then it means we are doubting what we have, and that's where a challenge could be. Because if people are allowed to update gender, update date of birth, then that's where we'll have issues. So maybe we need to be clear what are these variables that we want to be updated.
Yeah, like, as you guys know, on the data model, you can have like one to many relationship, like one person has multiple names, but for gender it's one-to-one. For the date of birth it's one-to-one. So for those, for the one-to-one, relationship, I think that's why we want to scrutinize what to do with those. For those like one-to-many, it's easier to avoid, and then have or maybe like the new defaulted, the new preference preferred one is another one. I think those are less complicated. It's more like for those like one-to-one relationship.
Yes.
Hey, Wayne, do you want to express more? What do you mean by new patient name record, new address record?
Sorry. Yeah, just like you said, I think if we just want to add new record to the patient name, address, identifier, then it should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, those are easy. Yeah.
All the everything from the demographic update can just add as a new record, so you don't need to do reconciliation when you process the demographic update. If you want to do reconciliation later on, for example, like voiding one name, voiding one address, or voiding one identifier, then you can do like a manual review afterwards. But the key there is just the gender and birth date, because that is attached directly to the person.
Yes.
So I think if you want to trust the demographic updates more, then it's gonna be easier. Just override whatever currently in the gender or birth date. So I think there should be some sort of decision over there, like what do you want to do with these two fields.
Yeah, I think that's the only two that tricky. Yeah. Some of them, I think, let's say, I don't think it's like voided. It's more like they still value. It's more like preferred, switch to preferred marker. So some of them might be voided and then add as new, like for example, the person attribute types. Those would be like voided to old value and then add a new entry for that. So we can look at that patient registration form to categorize them. Which one is, as we all know, like the date of birth and the gender is the one that is only one-to-one. That one that whenever those two changes, I would think it should require like a manual review process. That's my personal view, because it's not that I don't trust on the field, but because for that, especially for dramatic changes, it's going to affect a lot of stuff. And I think it's better, it's safer, make me feel better because I'm very nervous on this kind of changes. So it will require like a manual review. Oops. Okay, I think it works now. So, Wim, what do you mean process? Hey, Wim? You mean like currently any process for this kind of changes?
Right. Is there any?
I think it goes through the data quality team.
So they edit it directly on the.
So I think they verify. For example, if a form is tagged saying that, oh, this information is not correct for this client or something like that, I think they verify, and then after they verify, they make direct changes on the dashboard. So I think maybe I think we have I think more of us agree on most of what we talk about is that I think the to-do is to go through the registration form and categorize them, which ones should be voided, and then enter a new entry, which one is just to simply add a new entry, and then either there should be like a preferred check mark or not, And the other one is like those information that it will be overwritten, and then those are the concerned. So let's categorize those three, and then also let me contact the data quality team to confirm the workflow and process that they're doing right now, and then we can, so that we can incorporate to what in our design in mind what it is. But at the same time, we're trying to design this for more generic way, not just for empath only. But I think it was still good to contact the quality team, data quality team, just to see how they're doing right now, so that we can also consider their workflow. Would that be okay for everyone? Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so that's why it's not as straightforward, this one. It's not about the form. It's, even after this, I mean, there's a lot of process, a lot of things that affected. So if we finish this one, I think it's a huge thing, because later we also need to do like the delta for the ops and things like that. And then at that time, it will be since we already go through the hard one, and then doing the delta for the ops and encounters and all those things would become less complicated once we figured out what design we use. Okay, so that is it for that one. So the next one is the modules and APK testing and rollout plan. As you guys know, we have a newer version of the modules and also APK. We've been going through testing quite a bit this week, and they are working quite well for me. Except it's not the APK is not working for the Huawei devices, so it needs to be generated through like a different a lower Android version. So Win and Simon will help us for that, so we can take care of the Huawei device issues. And we are also testing against the empath test server. So Ruth and I are doing that today. So I'm waiting for Augustine feedback. When might be a good time for us to implement in the production server? So that's the plan. So what I mean is that once we get like estimated dates from Augustine, we will need to have all the latest form templates updated, and the latest modules on the production server. And then that means all the implementation teams need to help their users to use the latest APK. So that's why I want to give a little bit more, like a bigger timeline for us, so that the implementation team have enough time to have the users to use the new APK. So that's the plan. So is there any concerns or suggestions for this? So Derek, I would like to hear from you. You think how many days that you might need to have your implementation team users update the APK and also the form templates on the devices? Derek?
I can hear you better. I think mostly the devices that you are referring to, are they the devices that we're using on pointing on production? That means the Huawei devices?
Correct.
Or maybe, yeah. Okay, if they're the Huawei devices, it means now we have to go back and pull them again from the community health workers that already have the devices already. They're already using the devices. And that one will take almost like, depending on the task at last study, that will take almost like a week or so, because
okay.
we have this particular meeting is widespread in different regions.
Yeah, so I would like to hear from you when might be the best time for LAC and also CDM team.
Yeah.
So that, my hope is that since December the activities kind of like slowing down. So if you guys can do it, sometime this month, that'll be great. So that
Sure.
it will not affect or cause any delay for as much as doing the normal peak activities time.
I hear you.
Yeah. So
okay, fine. I would say once the APK will be ready, I will test it. When I'm satisfied with it, then I'll give a time period of, I think, 1 week will be enough.
Okay, so can we just maybe pencil down an estimated time? Because I think Win or Simon can give the APK for us probably later today, or even by Monday or things like that. So let's say you need 2 days to test, so maybe by next Wednesday, you should be able to confirm with us whether it meets your satisfaction or not. So can we say we aim December the 11th? So next Friday. That.
I was to suggest after the 17th. I'll be starting my exams from Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and now that one would mean maybe some stuff will hold on a little bit.
Okay.
I would suggest my exams are ending on the 17th. What I would say was maybe I pull the devices from the community health workers after the 17th, then work on them, then after Christmas, return the devices back to them.
Okay, so how about we aim for the production upgrade on the December 18th? Would that be reasonable?
Cool.
Okay, so let's see.
That's
So
okay.
can you help us to communicate with CDM as well?
Okay, I'll talk to Lawrence and Tor.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I think that would work perfectly, so that it's not affecting a lot of people, and then it's like things are slowing down, and it's good to catch up all these things. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's just tentatively for that. We pencil down for 18th for that. Okay. So any other comments in terms of modules and APK rollout plan? If no, we can talk about implementation updates briefly. So how's Slack doing, Derek?
Not really bad. I just left yesterday from Tuigoin, whereby I did a recap training to the CHWs in Sugoi, and again started up in Tuigoin. So the training went on well. It's just that we didn't have the bundle. The Safaricom had not sent the data bundles on the lines. That's why we didn't give them the phones. But we'll be giving them the phone. I'll be sending them the phones on Monday once we have data bundles released by Safaricom. Okay. So far, I would say so good. Data entry for the costing questionnaire also is continuing very well for those particular forms that had been data had been collected on hard copy. The RAs are doing entry, and so far so good. There is a mail that is being circulated by the data manager from LAC. I think most of you are copied on that particular email, and that one tells that so far we can pull some results from the VM server, and that means good progress. Only challenge is that the CHWs out there in the field are not really working to our expectation, and that means that we need to do something more in terms of motivating them and also retraining, of which we are focusing on that as per now. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the issue of not working well?
With the CHWs?
Yes.
What's happening is that they're out there having the devices, but we can't see this data coming in. It means they are not doing follow-up of the patients, and this one depends on many other factors apart from maybe incentives, receiving incentives from other studies, and mostly also being occupied by the Ministry of Health. So it's a matter of going back to do retraining to them and also talking to them as a whole study.
Okay.
We're focusing on that at the moment. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, because so far we have, when we checked last, Simon, we had 95 or so forms only from the LAC. The BA2s that are already on production. So, and the team felt like those are few number of forms that they expected, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why we are scaling up on now follow-up, going with them to see patients one-on-one, face-to-face, maybe. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
thanks, Eric.
Sure.
We already talked about CDM earlier. And Ruth, did you get a chance to touch base with oncology group?
Yes, today I was able to visit them, but I didn't find Kipto. Kipto is on leave.
Okay.
So I talked with him over the phone, and he said that when he will be back, he will be able to test the form since there's nobody else who can do that at the moment. Yes, but I informed them that the forms are ready. They should test them so that they can give us their feedback. Yes.
Yeah, it would be nice for them to, I think even though like you and I tested them, we think they, they all look fine. But I think it would be nice they kind of like do it themselves so that they will not say surprises later. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, go ahead.
I was also able to test the BA tools, and there was a packet that I had created. I don't know, it was for error 1107. And I tested using the new APK, and the error was not there. The forms were able to process successfully.
Awesome.
So I think maybe the new modules will solve the problem.
Okay, cool. Cool. So let's test the error resolution UI, you and I, further on Empath test server. Just to make sure that it's working as we expected, because we need to catch up. I think this month we need to catch up of cleaning up those in the error queue. Yeah. So that's what the plan for this month. Cleaning up all the payloads in the error queue.
Yes.
I think that's the updates for the implementation teams. Did I miss anything? If not, the last one is any other business? Anything anyone want to share or to mention? I just want to FYI everyone, I'm going to start my leave next Wednesday. So I think I would suggest to have the call once a week instead of like twice a week. Since we're wrapping up the sprints, next Friday. And, the call doesn't have to be very long, maybe even like 15 minutes, just a touch base to make sure that nothing really, things are working fine and things like that. And I will have Simon and Kimboy as the host, so they can just, work with you guys while I'm on my leave. And we will be, as I mentioned last time, we don't have any sprints for the last 2 weeks. After we finish the current spring, we will not have sprints until after New Year. But we still need to touch base just to catch up our, all the maintenance and the progress, and especially for the error resolution queue and things like that. So if you're not able to attend, it's fine. Just let Kimboy and Simon know so that they're not expecting you to attend, because I know that some of you are on leave as well, and also maybe holiday as well. So that's it for me. So try not to look for me after Wednesday. That's why I really hope to wrap most of the things up as much as possible before Wednesday, so I can enjoy. Okie dokie. That's it for me.
Have fun later.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye. Thanks.